The lark in the morning, she rises off her nest. She goes home in the evening with the dew all on her breast. Unlike the jolly ploughboy, she whistles and she sings. She goes home in the evening with the dew all on her wing.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome to this fortnight's episode of the Fireside Chat, the official podcast of Club Ballyteague's Legion of Larks. This is a Paul Winters production, brought to you in association with our commercial partner, one of Ireland's fastest growing construction companies, Kildare's very own Kelby Developments Limited. Each Kelby home is finished to the highest standard, affording homeowners the luxury of modern living in superb locations. A heartfelt thank you to Marie and Declan Gilligan for hosting us here tonight in the idyllic Travellers Rest pub on the banks of the Grand Canal. Well, tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is Ballyteague royalty. He was a member of the first Ballyteague panel to win a Kildare championship in 1962, a team that sowed the seeds for the golden generation of the early 1970s. He has served his club and community in numerous capacities for over 60 years. He is the greatest of the Gael. He's the one and only Tony Dunne. You're very welcome to the Fireside Chat, Tony.
Thank you.
And it's great to have you for the interview. Can you bring us back to your childhood days and your earliest memories growing up here on the banks of the Grand Canal, Tony?
I can indeed. Well, my earliest memories would have been that road out there. There was no road. It was a grass bank that time. When we were born, there was only two houses down here, my uncle's and my father's house. That's all. And we used to have to walk to school.
And where did you go to school,
Allenwood.
Allenwood.
Yeah. They're not good memories.
A few tough teachers along the way.
Paddy Hefferton.
Tell us about Paddy.
He wouldn't give it easy to you anyway. If he wanted to get something at you, he'd stand the whole class up and he'd walk behind you and he had a gold tooth. And he used to stick out this gold tooth and he had a knuckle out like that. And there was someone going to get it, someone would drove under the window. Oh, he was a hard man. Hard man.
You could have done with Joe McTeague there in that class for him.
Yeah, he was a hard teacher, you know. They're all hard them days.
Them days,
You
yeah.
know,
And
there was no such thing as anything easy.
so you were born in 1943.
August.
And for our listeners, the 1940s, early 40s, it was probably one of the toughest decades in the history of the state.
Times are hard.
Ireland was an economic wasteland. It was during the war, the Great Emergency. Times were tough for people, Tony.
Oh, they were very tough. And not alone that, there was 13 of us in it.
So that was...
13 of a family. One died, there was 12 of us left.
So your parents must have been remarkable people.
Well, my father, lucky enough, he had a lorry. He used to lorry turf. He used to cut turf and lorry it down to New Ross, Graignamanagh, Bagnallstown, all around there. It was hard times. We had to work on the bog from the time we were able to go in.
And
Day and night. I have an article on the Alan's Eye there about it this week.
excellent. We look forward to reading that one. And tell us about your mum.
My mother, she must have been a wonderful mother with 13 children that time. She worked in the bog. She'd have 5 or 6 children while home from 3 miles to the bog from here. And she'd come home, and when we come home at 6 o'clock, she'd have something to eat.
And I find now with my own family and my mum, her twin sister, to be children of that emergency as well, and they're very strong, resilient people.
Yeah. Oh, they were. They worked hard. Never got hunting easy.
And you'd find there with such a big family, you must have been very close to your siblings.
Well, one reared the other. Yeah. That's the way it was, you know what I mean? Everyone looked after one another.
And where did you come within the family, Tony?
It was Ned and Bill and Bert, 4th.
Excellent.
The
So,
3 elders are dead.
so you would have reared a few of the guys underneath you.
So, yeah, we would, yeah. We all helped out, like, you know. You had to.
And it's widely regarded there in terms of foot and turf, and you're second to none.
I was cutting turf at 14 years of age. And that was a hard racket.
When you think of all of the great communities in Ireland, in the Midlands, Offaly, Kildare, all the great peat stations, it's so sad to see the demise of
It's
turf.
sad for me to see the bog going. Because the bog was our life, you know. We were reared in the bog. We were putting a blanket and the ground in the bog when my mother be working.
And it was the economic generator for generations of people.
It used to be great when we were about 6 or 7. All the old people used to come at dinner time and they'd have an old chat and everything. My father used to have a great big old iron pan. And he used to fry up big heap of scallions and everything. You smell these scallions all over the bog. And that's how I could go back 150 years, for the old people were 60 or 70 that time. I was only here, and they'd be talking about their time, you know.
And now we've all these legislators from Germany telling us it's detrimental to cut turf for the environment.
They never saw the turf.
Like, it's scandalous, really.
Yeah. I have a brother up there now, he had a big business, Joe. He'd 2 lorries and he had a whole heap machinery. Stopped last year. Whole business shut down. Although he's retired anyway, but the whole lot was closed down.
Yeah. And even though Joe was retiring, ideally with our culture or heritage, he should be handing it on to the next generation.
Yeah, but the son was with him.
Yeah.
He's an engineer, he's gone back to work.
And I think it's sad to see.
Yeah, the son was with him for the last 5 or 6 years.
It's almost the end of the line.
Oh, it is the end of the line now, yeah.
So we're going to go on, and you've been described as the greatest of the Gael, a man that served Ballytea Gaelic Football Club in so many different capacities.
Yeah, you had that, yeah.
For over 60 years. Tony, before we touch on your playing career, and I know you had some success in the 60s.
Very little.
You're a modest man. What are your earliest memories of Ballytea?
Oh, going to the meetings in Henry's shed down there. I was there about 10. That'd be 65 or 6 years ago. They used to have the meetings in the shed, and then we came along then and we went to Paddy Nugent, bought Henry's place over there, and we used to have the meetings in the kitchen in Paddy Nugent's. They were my earliest memories, sitting up listening to all the old people.
And all them stories and great storytellers you were listening to. Who were the characters that you remember?
Oh, the first one was Tom Keenan.
Tell us about Tom.
Oh, sure, Tom was a character on his own. He was Ballytea on his own, you know. He used to, well, when we were training in 62, Jim Dowland, Lord of mercy on him, was training, so Tom was manager or something. We used to, there was not many big trees. He used to tie a rope over the big tree, tie a ball onto it, you know. You'd have to run and jump and catch it. When you were going to catch it, Tom would pull up the rope. Oh, he was a character. There was no doubt about it.
A little bit of a messer.
He was a great character.
Yeah. Right around that period, let's say you finished school.
Yeah.
Where did you go to work, Tony?
England.
England.
Went to England at 16. And I landed in England with about £5 in my pocket. I hadn't the price of digs or nothing. But you had to go to England because there was nothing at home. But I was lucky. My brother Ned, Lord of mercy on him, was over there. And I went over and he got me a job and got me digs and the whole lot.
And what part of England were you based?
Manchester.
Manchester.
Yeah. And I was lucky, I got a job. They got me a job on digs, and the man that was in the digs gave me the job, and he used to bring me to work in the car. Everything fell in for me.
Lovely. And
so then I used to come home in March and cut turf for my father the whole summer, and you wouldn't have a penny, because he'd have nothing to give you. Yeah. You worked the whole summer, couldn't turf in the bog. You go back to England again in October.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
there was a great Irish community in Manchester.
40 of us left Alan Wood the one Friday evening to go to England.
God, and just for a younger...
14 of us. Well, there's no use naming them all out. 14 gone to the bus.
And for our younger listeners to even comprehend 14 people from one little community...
that is gospel. 14 people.
Leaving on the one day.
There was 5 or 6 women and the rest was lads. But sure, I didn't know where I was going. They handed me one of these big white shovels, you know. I didn't know what it was because the shovels here weren't like that at all, you know.
You were used to the turf shovel.
Oh, for heaven's sake. And the sand was red over there. It was like it wasn't red here, you know. It was a different world over there.
So you worked in the buildings, did you?
I did, yeah.
You were with McAlpine and John Wimpy and...
I don't know who was with. I was, yeah. I would have to come home in March because my father had no one to work, you know, to help them out.
And you would have saved up the money to bring home.
Well, I used to be all gospel. I used to send home a £5 a week home to my mother. My wages was £11. The first wage she ever got was £11, 10 shillings. It was £2, 10 shillings for your days.
And like, that's amazing when you think of it. You have your 8 younger brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And the money you earned in England, you know,
You'd have to...
that kept them going.
I had to, yeah. Times were terrible hard.
And the whole emigration, how greatly did it impact the locality here in Ballyteig?
I did, sure. Every winter there was no one around here. Every lad that was 17 or 18 had to go somewhere.
And that would have greatly affected
no
the football teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember Eddie Hill got me a job, Lord of Mercy on him, in 61. He got me a job in the road factory to stay at home. I was no good to play football, but to make a panel. And, of course, it was shift work. It was worse than going to Paddy Hefferton. It was worse than going to school. I came out in March at 6 o'clock, the break from 2:30 to 6. I walked out the Clongowry Road and never went back. Didn't go back in for the sick. I didn't like it at all.
You had to change your heart, Tony.
Oh no, I didn't say work, no.
Right, well, and you are modest, because I was speaking to a couple of prominent members of both the Alan Wood and Ballyteig Club, and to remember you as an accurate corner forward. So I think you're being modest there in relation to your own capabilities.
A lot of lads wouldn't tell you that.
But in many ways, you were the godfathers of the club. In 1962, you were part of the panel.
Oh yeah, we had a great team in 62.
That defeated Salins, I think 1-7 to 5 points. So you brought back the first championship trophy to the club. What are your memories of that team?
I had the players on that, like Tom Logan, Mickey Lyons, Seamus Nugent, all. Seamus was a star that time, you know. Even Peter Dunne, Peter was in the middle of the field with him, cousin of mine. I had a great team. Dakey Doc Mick, Gilligan, he was one of the best they ever saw. You couldn't get by him. And we had a good team that year. Yeah. We had a good team in 61.
As well.
Yeah, we played Carberry in 61. I wasn't playing now. And it was 7 points to nothing at half time. And Carberry ended up beating us a point. God. The last kick of the game came in, the big high ball came in. My Bill, Lord of Mercy, my brother was in the goals. And little Foxman was coming running in, playing for Carberry. Joe Kelly showed Bill, I have him. Bill went up for the ball like this, and your man hit Bill and wrapped him up in the net. Kick out. Carberry won't be a point.
But you were close in 61. Did you feel something special was coming?
Well, we didn't know it. No, it was hard to know at that time, you know. You wouldn't know what kind of a team you'd have until the summer would come. We had a good old Johnny Gilligan, another great footballer.
Yeah, some great names there. And they still speak to this day, the triumphant scenes that when you returned with the championship and the cup. You were paraded on Ned Dunne's lorry. There was bonfires.
We went around all one Saturday and got tired with a there was a temple bonfire up there. My best remember is that was poor old Andy Cross, Lord of mercy on him. He came out with the pub and he was fairly well on. He had a bottle of whiskey. We were only young lads. And he got this bottle of whiskey and there was a whole heap of nettles. Down he collapsed in the nettles. We walked off and left him there. The poor man could have smothered. You know. I never forgot that. I remember the after that someone got him and picked him up.
And there was a few pints had and a few whiskies.
Oh, there was for a whole week.
So no, and that brought the club its first triumph. In 1963 you were top of the left again and you drew with Suncroft in a Jack Higgins Cup final.
Oh yeah.
And the Nationalists described the replay as the brawl in the barracks.
I think there was 7 put off that day.
Right, so it was an apt headline that was in the Nationalists.
Well, the only reason I was playing that day was Jimmy Innes didn't turn up. And they put me on. I was playing on a big Dillon man, bigger than Shea. I was only up to here on him. I never got a kick. I never even saw the ball, how long I kick had. But there was 7 put off.
7 players?
Yeah.
That must be a record.
Well, I don't know what. It's not a good record anyway.
And I believe there was a little bit of action in the stands as well.
Yeah, but we were short Seamus Nugent that day.
Right.
Seamus was in Peamount, he had his operation that time. Well, Seamus scored 1-5-0-1-6 in the drawing game.
So
he was playing midfield.
So to lose a player that's counting for 1-5 to take him over the first 15.
But the brought John Nugent that day with a quarter of an hour to go and he scored a goal and a point. His brother. But no one was terribly injured. It was a good old rough day, you know.
There were handbags.
Yeah, handbag stuff.
So again we go forward to your next success. Again top of the left, Intermediate Football League final in 1967.
Oh yeah.
Where you accounted for Ribbon quite comfortably.
We did, yeah. But we played Ribbon the Sunday before. This 67, 68, we played Ribbon. However, it came about in the 68, 2 weeks before that, in Kildare Town. And Ribbon bet us to be 4 points. We now wet day, 2 soft goals in Seamus Jacob. And then we were fixed to play them. And we had a meeting then in Littletown. Brother-in-law mine, Tony Smullen. He was playing with Kildare at the time. He played with us in 67. And to see it was legal to play with us. So all the players, everyone agreed to get him by. And he played midfield that day against Ribbon in Newbridge. And he mopped up the whole place, you know, he was a county man.
Super player, and actually, as part of our Fireside Chat series, one of the episodes is selecting the best Kildare team of the last 50 years, and Tony was one of the nominations for the left half back position.
It's hard to pick that because it's hard to leave lads out, like, you know.
But he must have been a superb footballer.
Oh, he played on Tony McTeague, Brennan and all them lads. I don't know, he was a good footballer, yeah.
So we go through to 1968 and we discussed it now with Mickey Thorpe and Joe McTeague and John Jacob. The Junior A Championship final against Ardglock where you were defeated narrowly.
We threw it away, yeah.
And there was a lot of adverse refereeing decisions from Tony Keogh.
Earlier in the year, there was a bit of a hodo over in Naas in Ardglock. Match wasn't finished. The referee went out the small gate over the far corner. And then we met in the final. Temple crowd came to it, thought it was going to be. It was a good old game. We couldn't get the ball by the Ardglock. Peter Cullen was in the goals. We couldn't get the ball by him. Hit his head, hit his feet, or bet me a pint.
Just one of them days. And you accounted for 2 points from play that day. And you were also fouled for 2 frees.
I don't know. Yeah, it probably was, yeah, but We used to have hard old games together. Would you go to a dance that night then you meet them and there wouldn't be a word.
It was all forgotten about once the whistle blew.
Indeed it was.
You must have felt there in 1968 a lot of great young players coming through the ranks. We've mentioned Mickey Thorpe, John Jacob.
Oh, yeah. The team was starting
the
to come
Swords,
that time. Yeah.
the great Joe McTeague.
Yeah, all those old lads were going.
And you've really sowed the seeds for that golden generation of 71 to 74.
Oh, they were some team.
What are your memories of that team, Tony, the team of the 70s?
Well, you weren't that shit, no? No, you weren't, no.
He looks that old. He's not quite that old.
Oh, no, they were a powerful team. They, only for Carberry was so good, they would have won a couple of championships. You know, they were good enough to win a couple. Because Carberry beat them in the county final. I don't know what, I think it was 4 or 5 points.
74, and they were leading at half time.
Yeah. And Seamus Brennan pulled in a ball that and stuck it up in the back that day, the full back. That was the terrible thing to happen, you know. And we lost Paddy Moore as well.
So a couple of unlucky incidents.
And then we played Carberry in the Leader Cup final and only by a point.
Yeah, that was phenomenal that year because you won the Junior A championship, and for a Junior A team to get to a Leinster Leader Cup final, it was never done before, and it'll probably never be done again.
They were great players.
And good friends of yours, Tony.
Actually, they're all friends, yeah, they're all that.
So we'll go forward. You'd retired, and you went into committee work.
Oh yeah, I'd done the gate for the last, I don't know, 35 years or so.
Lovely. Have you any good stories about working on the gate? You must have met a few chancellors and characters over the years.
I'd say I met every lad that ever played with G.A.A. down there.
Yeah.
It was great being on the gate. I used to love it. You'd be chatting all night.
And you'd have a great personality for that.
You have to. Yeah. You know, I only retired last year there because I had an illness there and I had to go to hospital and everything, you know. And had to go under an operation and then I can't stand now.
Yeah.
And Willie, my old mate, Willie took over.
Willie Reedy.
Willie's my age and he's still going strong.
Oh, you trained him in well, Tony.
Oh, Willie's still going strong. You have to have a knack in the gate though. Yeah. You have to know, like if there's people coming in, if there's two young ones coming in, they're going in there to see their brother or their boyfriend. You don't charge them, you know. And then if you get an real old person coming in, you don't say, give me €5. You let them in. You know, you don't lose something.
A little bit of common sense goes a long way.
Yeah.
And personality, and you had that in abundance.
I met every footballer under the sun. Even Jack O'Shea used to have a great old chat with whenever you going in.
Brilliant.
Oh,
so great memories.
Great. Sure, I'd be lost money for the football club.
So you got back as much as you put in many ways.
More.
And more.
More. Sure, my whole life.
Yeah. And did you serve in any committees, Tony?
I was selected on the junior team that won the junior championship in 89.
Brilliant, yeah.
They got them all, Joe McTeague and Paddy Souls and Jeremy, they got them all back and they won the junior championship.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It was great.
Did it take much convincing to get them guys back?
It took a good bit to get Paddy, and Paddy minded the goals. Yeah. With no goalkeeper. I'm sure he used to play full back as well.
Yeah.
Come out, catch
he
the
was
ball,
a sweeper.
Oh, he was a great man.
Brilliant. So, who were the great administrators at the time that you remember, or people that you would have served with on committees?
Oh, back years ago, it was Bill Ainger. Willie and his son Willie. They were great. They were the foundation that came back 60 years ago. You know, they were great men. Yeah. The two of them. There was a man out of Hollywood, Gandhi Roach. He was a brilliant man. Remember, he worked in the road or in the power station. And we had hardly no team back before I was in the young lad. And there was this man, Carmody was his name, he was working in the power station, he was from Gavin. I'd say he was about 42 or 3 years of age. I can't got him down and play up all day. He was the best little corner forward you ever seen. Score points from everywhere.
Brilliant.
Yeah, with no team that time. Belonging to Flint. Sally Wood was only after taking a lot of our lads, you know.
Right. Like, in many regards, you served your apprenticeship under those great community.
Peter Conley. Oh, Peter. Poor, he only died last year there. Peter. That's the 70th time in the Gael with Peter.
And John Ivers is someone that's always
John was
spoke
one
about.
of my best ever friends, you know.
And he dedicated his life to the
whole
club.
life. Sure, he used to be down here you wouldn't know what hour of the night. Any day or night he'd just walk into you.
And I tell you, just looking up at the wall on the Traveller's Rest, there's a great photo of Frank Morden going for a 50-50 ball. And it's hard to know whether he was a ferocious competitor or he's suffering from high blood pressure in the picture. But I know you're a great friend of Frank's.
Frank was in that junior team that won the championship. He scored 2 great goals in Sartrell Twitch in the semi-final. Oh yeah, Frank was a good old footballer.
Could you tell us, Tony, what Frank Morden means to you?
Everything. Frank's like a brother to me. I bought a motorbike last year, and Frank brought me several places to look at bikes. And we looked at on the internet. There was a bike in Tipperary. I'll bring you, said Frank. Say, you won't? He'd do anything for you. If I went to Frank Morden tonight and said, Frank, I want to go to Galway tomorrow, he'd bring you. Yeah. I mean, Frank, I were that way this years and years.
I'd only know Frank in latter years. But
no, he's my best friend ever.
Yeah. I'd always remember Shay's wife, Lisa.
Yeah, that's hard.
Lisa's passing, the funeral.
Yeah.
And what Frank arranged that day was so poignant.
He's done the same here.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable good natured.
Yeah. And I think with Frank, is it fair to say, I don't think he realises how much he's loved by people.
All around here, Frank, I say, appreciate him with the table on.
And that's not alone in Ballyteague. I think it's throughout the county.
Yeah, all over.
He's a revered figure in Kildare G.A.A.
Oh, indeed he is.
You're going to tell us about Teresa now. And you're Teresa Smullen.
That's right, yeah.
And when did you meet Teresa, Tony?
I met her around 1969, around that time. We got married in 71. Met her in Marquee in Britannia.
As good as place as any.
Sure, as good a place as any, yeah. And we got married in 1971. And then we lived in our mother's for 3 or 4 months. Then I got a house in Ballyteague, a thatched house, the corner there in Ballyteague, and I lived in that until I built here. Lived in that for 2 years. And now an uncle of mine, I was working in the tunnels. And we used to have to be going down at 7 in the morning in Harris Cross. And we'd be finished around 12:30 or 1. I was in steelwork, I was doing steelwork. And going home here one day, and our uncle of mine, the Fireside of the road, was here. Oh, he says, I want to see you. And I was going down, and I said, yes, I'm not going. He wants me to do something. I was going to the bog to cut me fire. The next day I didn't get by him. The other way he said it to me. So I went down to Goldstock, come up. He had a sight for me, this side here.
Ah, brilliant.
He walked out and stuck his heel, the big square, went into the middle. He says, build a house there, Tony. He says, if anyone says anything to you, send him to Smitty. Smitty we used to call him.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks after I dug out a foundation with a spade, no planning permission or anything that time. And my father and Ollie in the winter, they were lorrying turf, and I was working in the tunnel. And they used to go have a Thursday and Saturday. They used to do the blocks here during the week. My father and brother football, and then Bill and Jimmy and them gave me a hand upon the roof. Just a room and kitchen we built. I came in here and the floor wasn't wet. The floor wasn't even dry when I came in.
Amazing memories.
Oh yeah, it was a hard time though.
And
You'd
Teresa
have
was
a
a
bag-
great woman.
You'd have a bag of cement and you'd be trying to spare it. Yeah, you'd be mixing up a mix and you'd be trying to spare it. It was hard to get money that time, you know. Oh, she was a great woman to save. She saved a few bob with nothing, you know.
And you had to back then.
Oh, you had no choice.
And would she have worked the bog with yourself,
Oh,
Tony?
yeah, she did. She used to do the turf. She had to do the turf.
So the same as your mum.
Oh, yeah. Though we had good money in the tunnel. That's how we built this. Like, the building was only around £50 that time. We were drawing 160, around that. We're getting £60 for going down it. We had to go in through compressed air.
Yeah.
So it was 60 foot all along under the canal. The compressed air was to keep the water, keep the weepage from going down.
There'd be danger money. And
Well, if you were drinking, you wouldn't go through it. Your eardrums wouldn't open. Or if you had the flu. Now, a lot of lads just be caught on Monday morning. Oh, you'd have to go out. Your eardrums are burst. If you had beer, yeah.
And did Teresa remind you of your mum in many ways?
Ah, yeah, she was a great woman, yeah.
Very similar
Yeah, they were
characters.
all time behaviour, you know, yeah.
And of course, her dad, Johnny, am I right in saying he's the only Kildare man that was on the great army team in 1948 that won
That's
the
all.
Kildare Senior Championship?
They were all inter-county players bar him.
Him, right.
And he told me, there was 4 or 5 subs and they were county players. But he got picked for the county. Half back. And of course he was army and then he wore a black dicks. And he was called in and wouldn't let him in. And you know who went on instead of him? David Dalton. And he said he gave David Dalton his chance. So he was picked again and he never went anymore.
And David Dalton went on to win a Leinster.
Yeah, old Davy went on to win Leinster. He said he gave David Dalton his chance.
Lovely.
He never regretted.
Did he ever speak of the great John Joe Riley?
Oh, he did, yeah.
For our younger listeners, John Joe Riley captained Cavan to the famous All-Ireland
In New
victory in the Polo Grounds in 47 and also the following year in 1948 and died tragically as a young man, but he was based in the Corps as a commandant and played in that great All-Army team.
Then Johnny went Britannia and Kildare and St Patrick's went together and Johnny was 38 and he joined in with them and won another championship with them in 38.
Excellent.
So he won 4 senior championships. He was a good, I never saw him play now, but he's supposed to be a good footballer.
Well, to be picked on teams amongst that calibre of player was some achievement. Because Sean Brennan, the great Kilkenny footballer.
But then he didn't drink or smoke and he was an army man, you know. He kept himself on top. Even when he trained us back in 68, and he was fitter than any of us, you know.
And were you instrumental in bringing him on board in 68?
No, I didn't know the man.
Right.
No. I only met Trace in 69. I didn't
Right.
know who Johnny Smullen was or Tony Smullen was. Because I remember playing a junior match had to come on from England and Tony Smullen was refereeing it. He was playing with the county, he just refereed no ref. And he gave it free, he gave me, and I had to say, who are you up for anyway? I said, you know what I mean? I said, who are you up for anyway? You Baltag or whoever we were playing.
So
I didn't know who he was.
you mightn't have got his blessing in 68.
I just, Tony wasn't mine.
We'll now take a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll be joined in studio by former Ballyteague and Kildare footballer Shea Walsh, who will reflect on the amazing contribution that Tony Dunne has made to Ballyteague G.A.A. Club. Club Ballyteague has been established to help finance the strategic development of Ballyteague G.A.A. Club and to promote our culture and educational values. The Supporters Club is delighted to announce Paul Galvin as our new design partner. The award-winning fashion designer and 4-time All-Ireland Senior Medal winner will be designing our bespoke once-off member jackets. For just €5 per month, we're calling on all friends of the club, at home and abroad, to join the Legion of Larks. Please contact any committee member for further details. Shay Walsh, you're very welcome to the Fireside Chat.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you.
What are your earliest memories of Tony Dunne?
Well, Tony, where do we start with Tony, as the fella says? When I started going to Baltic first, of course, you'd only a young lad at the time, and you'd be coming down from the Kilmig area, and you'd know the lads you'd be going to school, but you wouldn't really know the older lads at the club and that. But the first time I seen Tony was around the club, and as Tony said himself, he was doing the gate, and you got to know Tony from in and out, and then he got to know you from playing. He'd know you were starting to play football, but at that time, we were only really getting going, and lads like Tony and, as he's mentioned, Willie Reedy and all them lads were around the place, and as the older you get, they kind of seem to be a permanent fixture. They're always there, So for me, that was the first meeting of Tony and that, Then you eventually got to know them through football and that, and they'd be there supporting the team, and went away, home matches, all the usual stuff, So that's the way it kind of probably started for me with the likes of Tony and Willie Reedy and all them lads,
And a great man to give you encouragement.
Yeah, look, if you had a bad game, Tony was a kind of man, knew you had a bad game. He didn't rub it in, not that he wanted to rub it in. Isn't that right, Tony? I think he kind of let lads have a bad game, and if you had a good game, he was one of them lads that told you when you had a good game, but never told you when you had a bad game. But you'd always look over it, you'd know yourself, so if you were looking at the lads, you'd know which way it went on or off. So look, at the end of the day, we were all in it together, as the saying goes,
And I think when you have a bad game, you don't need to be told.
You don't need to be told.
Don't need to be told, no.
We're all the way I look at our club, it's all a big family.
That's it.
It's that's the way I look at it.
And that's really the ethos of the G.A.A,
As
isn't
my
it?
woman used to say, the day that Tony Dunne can't go to a match, he's bad. And I can't go to a match now. And I had to stay.
We'll have to get your seat to stand somewhere to something like that.
They got me seat down there one evening, and I could stick it to the half time.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
Please God, we'll see you back, Tony.
We'll roll you on again for another while.
But I'd be ringing Frank at half. I'd always ring Frank, and Frank would let me every match, even the juniors, everything. I'd ring him at half time, find out what's going on.
Brilliant.
Frank was great for him.
And no better an analyst of the game to give you a synopsis of what was going on.
I meant to say, Tony, you're 35 years doing the gate, are you? Give or take.
I would be, or more, yeah.
I remember Tony when I went down first, as I remember him, and then I remember him also when I started bringing my own young lads down when I was finished playing, and the young lads used to call Tony the man in the motorbike because ahead of his daddy. He'd always say the man in the motorbike.
That's what I'm known around here. I'm riding the bike for the last 55 or 60 years.
So
a Honda.
I think Tony got the name in our house anyway. The man in the motorbike's gone ahead of us, so the man in the motorbike there. But Willie himself, lads like that, it's a privilege for me to be here tonight, Helen, because lads like that, they always think, and there's lots more women as well. We can go through lists here, and we're trying to cover as many as we can. But at the end of the day, they're a huge cog in a club's wheel, and people. I'm not saying anyone takes them for granted because they don't, but they kind of probably take themselves for granted, and probably as the club is growing, people appreciate them an awful lot because what they do, they're there before, because people have to understand when there's a league game on maybe at 7 o'clock, lads are working, people are working, and it's not as handy to get somebody to do the gate. Obviously the gate would be...
you'd have to be down at 6:30.
Well, half an hour beforehand at least, Tony, would you?
Oh, you'd have
maybe earlier, would you?
Nowadays, the teams come and train an hour before the match.
Warm up, yeah.
And you wouldn't get home till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Another thing I meant to say to you, Tony, and pick your brain on, Ballatigs, when you landed in Ballatigs first and started to train, was it Hendy's Field down the Fireside here, or where? What's your early memories of that?
The early memories was down where Terry Highland is.
Terry Highlands.
The Fireside
there, did you?
In the bottom's the Fireside of that.
Yeah.
And then we moved up to where we are now.
Yeah.
And then Hendy took that off us. See, that was left in the wheel as long as Baltic had a club.
Yeah.
Thornton left that to be always a pitch.
Yeah.
So they went down in where the castle is, where Larry Dunne is.
Yeah.
There's big old fields there. That's where I remember kicking football there. And then the club kicked up and he he brought them back here. But then he left it to the young fella then, was left to the son, that field, and a couple of 100 acres as well. So the young lad told him he was going to sell it.
Yeah.
The best thing that ever happened, Baltic had to buy it.
Yeah.
They had the field, but they didn't own it.
Yeah.
Couldn't be put out of it, but the best thing that ever happened.
And never looked back since.
Never looked back since. Fine place down there.
Yeah.
Have you any other questions for Tony, Shay?
Well, that side of it. And you look ahead now, Tony, you see the changes in the club over the year. Have you seen dramatic changes from your time?
All the old fellas are gone.
Yeah.
I think me and Willie was the last two.
Yeah.
Peter Conley, Lord of Mercy.
Peter was a great club man, wasn't he?
There's no old people in, even over the club. I'd say Frank now, not saying Frank's old, but Frank would be, there's no old people at all. It's all being run by young people now. I wouldn't know them even.
Yeah, that's probably a big thing for you now.
Yeah.
I know you know them to say hello and how are you and
That's
know you
it.
and everything else. But you've probably seen a massive input of people coming in, an influx of people from all over coming in.
It's great though. Yeah. It's great to see the people coming in that's living in the area coming to the club.
Yeah.
You want to go down there for Friday night, see all the children that's down there.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'd say Willie's the last old person left now.
Yeah.
So you must be proud of all your endeavours over the years, Tony.
Oh, she would, like when we started, under a tree, that's where you wrap up your clothes. If a cow didn't eat them, it'd rain and it'd be wet when you be either one way or the other for the match would be over.
When we interviewed Mickey Thorpe, he referred to Puckon Park.
Oh yeah, well, she spent half her life up there, Mickey.
Up there, yeah.
And he used to make this cup out with this tin foil. And he cut out medals and put tin foil on them.
Yeah.
Give us all a medal. And Mickey was he was a great character.
Yeah. You've seen some good teams in your time, Tony, over the time in Ballytake. There was some good teams turned out over the years.
Oh, Ballytake had some great teams.
They had, yeah.
Even that 62 team was a good team, like at that time. And at that time, would you believe me, at that time, we'd only 3 or 4 subs. 3 jerseys, that's all we had. Sub jerseys. Because I was a sub in 62. I played against G.A.A. once, and I played in the cup final, but I didn't play another game. You'd have to wear your shirt.
Yeah.
There was no jerseys, hadn't got jerseys.
Yeah.
Were different jerseys then, there's the hope.
There was some great clubmen at that time kept the club going, even during the leader
back
time.
years ago.
Yeah.
The Flynn, 1956.
Yeah.
Tom Flynn and John Flynn and Anthony Flynn.
Yeah.
Willie Flynn.
And then when you came to the 70s, a young man called John Ivers appeared down over.
John came out.
What was your early memories of John when you seen him first?
I knew John from a very early. John bought the first car he ever bought off me. A mini car.
That's right.
I knew John well.
John was a superb man, wasn't he, when he got going?
He put his whole life into it.
Unbelievable, yeah. I don't think, I know most people that know John recognised what he'd done for the club. But
no, you couldn't.
You couldn't put it into him.
No.
For the people that kind of wouldn't have known John, maybe would be in the club the last 10 years, Tony probably echoed me on this, that John was probably an unbelievable organiser and a driving force behind Ballytake. Even when a little bit of dip came in the club and teams went down, he was always there, wasn't he, Tony?
Oh, he was always there. He was always encouraging the whole time.
I mean, I think John organised everything from the water bottle to the gate man.
Everything had to go through him.
Yeah. I think it's fit and tribute for John,
As an outsider looking in on John, I think you look no further than the Herbert Cup as a testament to his organisational skills.
Oh yes, the Herbert Cup years ago was as good as the championship.
It was the biggest cup in Kildare.
And nearly anyone that won the Herbert Cup won the championship.
Yeah, it was the timing of the Herbert Cup, when I remember, was brilliant. It always started the first break evening. The
first break evening, yeah.
And every club wanted to play in it because it was like letting a horse or something out for the first time.
It was the first games of the year.
They were mad to play for it, and it was ran superb. It was ran inside the wind of a week and a half, and it was all into the final.
Yeah, I remember the time Alan Wood wouldn't play, remember that? It was Alan Wood and Carberry.
Oh, there was a final, was it? Or something?
A final, yeah. Alan Wood couldn't play of a Saturday night, but they could play a Sunday night. John wouldn't change it.
Oh, John, yeah.
He gave Carberry a walk over.
Yeah, he was. John was a.
He was just that type, you know.
Yeah.
There
Regimental.
was only one day in it.
Yeah, you know. At the end of the day, they could have.
And he was the boss that time.
Could have facilitated things a bit different, but anyway, no, like that was a brilliant time, as the saying goes. But like, I think anybody that started the club and was involved in the foundation, well, I know the foundation was formed early, but people in your era, the start of that, they probably, if a lot of them came back now and looked at the club and see the way it was, they probably wouldn't believe you. Would
Oh
they?
no, not at all. You couldn't believe a club could come on so much. And like, we were in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Little old small rural club, like, you know.
Yeah.
And we don't owe a penny.
Yeah.
Everyone's there is belonging to the club.
Yeah. I think that's a good testament to the.
That's the envy of many a club.
Yeah.
And would you feel that comes from the country community
It is, yeah. Oh, yeah.
ethos?
It is. It's different in the towns. Oh, yeah, it's different completely. Would you say so, Shay?
You mind what you get,
Oh,
Tony?
yeah.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, then there is, let's be honest about, there's a lot of clubs that run into an awful amount of financial pressure at the moment and have to done deals with banks and recessions and that. And so we've been lucky that we've avoided all that and we've kept going, and we've 2 pitches and
then I tell you, the All-Ireland turf football.
Yeah, that was Frank's idea, which was a brilliant idea. You know?
Me and Frank one day, Frank met me in Newbridge, how it started, outside the restaurant, and he says to me, "You'll think I'm mad." I said, "I think you're mad anyway, Frank." And he says, "I'm thinking of going to foot turf from Baltag," he says, "and hold a field day." So I said, "That'll never work." So I would come home and I rang Frank that next night. I said, "Ring him." And he was telling me about what he was going to do whenever. I said, "What are you going to pub for, Frank?" He says, "We've a whole lot of cups down here, we'll change the name." I said, "I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll pub a cup for my father was a turf man." And before we knew it, I think it was the next Wednesday, me and Frank went in to look at cups and we bought one. And we hadn't even the field day. Wasn't even organised at all. Going to foot turf in the field and look at people coming in to look at. So it worked out great.
Yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant,
Absolutely
yeah.
brilliant.
We made great money on it.
Oh, absolutely brilliant, you know.
10,000, 9,000, 10,000, you know.
Yeah.
And gone from strength to
Oh,
strength.
there was a couple of thousand. The last year was on there was a couple of thousand at.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant.
And Frank is doing great work with the Allen Historical Society.
Oh, he's done great work with that, yeah.
And Tony Dunne, 2021. What are your hobbies outside of the G.A.A.? What keeps you going during the day and your interests?
No, not now. I'm not able to do anything. I've interest in everything, you know. Everything that's going on around the place, I have an interest in it, but...
Would you listen to the radio or watch television?
Oh, I listen to Glen Ryan every morning from 9 to 11. I stay up here, and that keeps me going for 2 hours. Go up to the graveyard and then I go to shopping. I do a couple of walks. Me and Willie, John Kavanagh, we didn't walk now this 3 weeks because Willie's son got the COVID. But we were, for the last 2 or 3 years, we walked three rounds of that field every day. And then we have to sit down and have a chat.
Brilliant.
Spends in an hour and a half.
And you're recalling all the old stories
Oh,
and
for heaven's
the
sake,
glories.
talking, yeah.
Have you any grandkids? Grandchildren,
I have
Tony?
two grandchildren. Her, the eldest was 21 last Thursday.
Brilliant.
And Natasha is 20, the 19th of April. I have one daughter. I had a son, Laura Mercer, was killed 27 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Tony.
Yeah, that's forward there.
That's right, yeah. I
He
remember
was
that
killed
one.
27 years ago, off motorway.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, it wasn't a crash. He came around a turn one terrible stormy windy night, coming home to Garrafriend. Little road like that out there, there was a turn on it. 3 down, straight into the tree, killed outright.
Very unlucky, yeah. God love him.
Yeah, 27.
No doubt he's looking down on you and he's proud of all your
So I
achievements.
have a daughter.
That's right, honey, yeah. That's right, yeah.
They keep me going.
So there, and they grow up fast,
Oh,
the
It's
grandchildren.
only like the other day they were here, now they're...
And would they be having interest in sports, Tony? Or?
No, they don't. No, because Liam is not a sport, not a footballer anyway.
Stephen is a nephew. Is Stephen?
Yeah.
Stephen is first.
It'd be Bill's son's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be grand.
That's how he gets the yellow card to say he took after me.
Yeah.
He
He
gets
took a bit
a-
of stuff, Stephen.
He gets a bit of, he's getting on now, he's 32.
He doesn't take a backward step, does he?
No.
It's forward all the way with him, isn't it? Huh? He's a hardy bit of stuff, Stephen.
So the Dunne family would be synonymous with the area.
Ah, yeah. I should be, the brother of mine was a great footballer.
That's right, yeah.
I said they're bringing him out with the goals one day. They were playing Ellistown. Liam Alive was playing it. I sure he was playing every one of the balls. They brought Bill out with the goals.
Yeah.
Bill was tall, but he was terrible light.
Yeah.
Bill caught every ball up.
Yeah.
And although that, Liam Alive fouled him every time as well.
Yeah.
Balthaig bet him that day.
He wasn't able for him to say in the game, huh?
Oh, Liam Alive was too tough for him, but Bill was able to catch the ball and Malay had mow him over. And
Yeah.
he was a great old footballer.
Excellent. And do you watch the television?
I do, yeah.
What programmes would you like now, Tony?
Oh, all the soaps. The same and old one. Home and Away and
Emmerdale,
Emmerdale and all them. I'd look at that. Sure, I don't go out like, you know.
Coronation Street.
I'm facing the wind. I'm to see everything that's gone by.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with all the affairs they're having? None of that went on in Ballyteague.
Oh no, we wouldn't like that.
Oh, God. Shay, I'll ask you there just for the last few words to sum up what Tony Dunne means to the community.
Well, on behalf of the club and people around, I know this is the feeling all over the club, like even new people would come to the area and would have, moved in and joined Ballyteague and their kids start to play. Like, the work Tony's done over the years has been unbelievable and has been greatly appreciated. I know sometimes, as I say, him, Willie, all them lads, we could name them ladies as well as done over the years, all the women in the background. We're trying to cover everybody at the moment, and I just want to say on behalf of everybody in the club, the work has not gone unnoticed. It's unbelievable. It's just, you don't have to be kicking balls over the bar to be saying, to be appreciated the same as the man at the gate. And the man at the gate is Tony Dunne, and phenomenal service to Ballyteague. And on behalf of the club, I'd like to say thanks to Tony for that.
Oh, thank you, Shay.
They're lovely words, Shay.
Yeah.
The foundation of the club, and from emigration to turf, love, soap operas, football.
Like
that was one remarkable story, Tony Dunne.
It's like what the lad said in the gate, that Tony Dunne there's a terrible nice gentleman. The man said to him, put on a Ballyteague jersey on him and you'll know.
We could probably slag Tony saying he probably took more money for Ballyteague than anyone did.
I sure it all went into the club.
That's
anyway.
it.
Yeah.
He put more money in the coffers going through the gates than anyone did.
We must have took into some terrible money in our day, mustn't we?
Brilliant.
It keeps the club going.
That's it.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the remarkable story of Tony Dunne. Tony, you've an unrivaled service to both your club and community, and long may that service continue. A big thank you to our listeners, to Kelby Developments, to Paul Winters Productions, to our director Ray Cribben, presenter Shay Walsh, our incomparable host Marie Gilligan, and last but not least, the greatest of the Gael, our guest tonight, Tony Dunne. Until the next time, folks, keep the header blazing.
The lark in the morning, she rises off her nest. She goes home in the evening with the dew all on her breast. Unlike the jolly ploughboy, she whistles and she sings. She goes home.